safety around if you're building in like an NFT project, a DeFi project, and you sort of layer one, you probably have a community of users. And I'm just going to give a chat on how you can improve your personal safety and the safety of all of your users. So I'm Nikita. I'm currently the founder of ChainPatrol. We're actually a company focused on preventing malicious links and scams and kind of that area in the space, like all those fake airdrops. Previously, I worked at Coinbase, and before that, I was running another startup. We actually started ChainPatrol because through Discord, me and one of my other co-founders, we lost an NFT worth quite a lot of money due to some impersonation scams. They were impersonating a founder of another project that we thought we were working with. And I got so angry, I decided to start ChainPatrol. So, we'll jump through the intro stuff very quick, but basically, what are these types of scams trying to do? They'll try to get your users to enter their seed phrase. They'll impersonate your support or support from other companies. They'll attempt to get you to sign a malicious transaction that usually has a bad allowance or tries to transfer all of your funds away. Or they'll just try to send your assets to an impersonator where it's just, a simple, with our case, it was sending an NFT to somebody. We thought it was a founder, but they actually, they were somebody else. Some common attacks, you've probably seen all of these on Twitter. There's a lot of, basically don't trust anything you're tagged in on Twitter or DMs or Discord DMs. Almost every single NFT project, DeFi project has these. It's, we are launching a free mint, and they basically just lead you to a website that will try to scam you. There's admin impersonation. Never trust DMs on Discord, even though if it looks like it's coming from a founder. They'll use the same profile picture. In our case, even using the same Discord ID was a, Discord has an internal ID that is actually unique, but the names that they use, like their name and those numbers, can actually be spoofed and copied over across users, so don't trust that. And then there's hacked accounts. So, even something like Twitter verified checkmark or even like this golden checkmark, which is only meant for businesses, is actually not safe. Many businesses get hacked, then they'll swap over. For example, what happened with Cool Cats, another big business was hacked, like not Cool Cats themselves that had the golden checkmark. They swapped over all their assets to impersonate Cool Cats and basically stole a couple of $100,000 from Cool Cats owners. And if you're running your own, you're running your own community, or you have Discord admins, you are a founder or somebody within this community, be very careful on your personal security, and we'll go into some tips on that in a second. But basically, here what happened with Loopring, one of their admins was hacked and started spreading this loopring.gg announcement in their channel that went out to all of their users, and basically they were getting their funds stolen from them. And this is especially difficult because it's coming from a trusted source rather than from, like kind of an obvious scam on Twitter. So the first step is protecting yourself. One thing I'd recommend is there's a lot of great security extensions out there. I mean, everybody's probably heard of revoke.cash by now, but there's a lot of really great extensions out there as well. There's Pocket Universe, Fire, Wallet Guard, Stello. All of them have a bit of different takes, so you can try out which one you like, but a lot of them have things like transaction simulation, blocking out malicious addresses, also finding things like bad allowances you've set on your account. I highly recommend having at least one of these installed. I have multiple just because they're kind of some are great in one area, some are great at transaction simulation, others are really good at phishing sites. So I'd recommend trying out a bunch of these. Discord personal security, just turn off DMs from every server you join. There's no reason to have them on. If you really, really need to, there's probably other channels you can like contact people on, or you can maybe like temporarily turn them on if it's really necessary with somebody you've been chatting with, but generally turn them off by default. And we're gonna go into some like strategies for protecting your own community as well. So something I've seen like very like not used enough in a lot of both NFT and DeFi projects is like a good use of Discord bots. I'd highly recommend this one called Wick. It's, you know, it has some of the most like, I'd say thorough protection. They do everything from protecting you against nukes. So for example, if somebody does get admin privileges in your Discord, they can actually protect you from your whole server getting deleted, which would suck. They also have, you know, automatically blocking impersonators of your admins, locking down your server if somebody was hacked. They'll basically prevent anybody from sending messages. And they also have kind of like an interesting way of like kind of group immunity, where if somebody was a known bad actor in another server and they try to join your server, they'll automatically be blocked or at least highlighted to you that they have been kind of banned from other servers. Also highly recommend doing a Discord audit. So this is like something that I've seen very few places do, but it's getting more popular. Is there's actually professionals out there that know all the steps it takes to make a really secure audit. They'll look at all your roles, your permissions, how your team is set up, and I recommend a place called ServerForge. They basically train a bunch of people, have like certified auditors on this stuff, and they're just a really good, overall a good team to kind of work with. And then there's educating your own community, right? I think a lot of people, like even like seasoned crypto people, like don't have certain best practices in mind, or don't know like how to kind of live within this space. There's, you know, announcements you can make yourself. You should definitely have a scam report channel. By now, almost every Discord server does, but some don't. Bots can also give your users automatic notifications. Like, for example, there's, I think Wick and other bots have an option where they won't let your let your user join your server until they've turned off DMs. So it basically kind of gates them until they've set up their own best practices. Adding just simple stuff like we'll never DM you in your admin's names. And then also, like, I'd recommend just checking out Boring Security DAO. They've been doing like a ton of, they basically kind of run classes. They partner with like NFT projects, DeFi projects. They basically invite everybody from your community and run like a session on like how to stay safe for themselves. And this is something like we've seen a lot of community, you know, a lot of users get really excited about, because they feel like, you know, they appreciate when like you show that you actually care. You know, you're not, because there are some projects, you know, we've talked to, and they're like, oh, like if our users get rugged, it's not our problem. And those projects, to be honest, do have some outrage from their community that comes up. Yeah, so basically I think on education and just basically understand, like spreading out the, you know, how do you actually keep yourself safe. Now, I'll just jump in quickly into what we do at ChainPatrol to, like, there's some other areas of security that, that we kind of build on. So, you know, there's areas that you can control and areas that you kind of can't control. You can control what happens in your own Discord, but it's hard to control what DMs your users receive. You can keep track of your own Twitter security, but you can't keep track of fake accounts impersonating you and DMing your users on Twitter. And so what we've seen large projects, like for example, we work with companies like Optimism and Lido and others right now, and what they do is, you know, they have teams that try and go, let's say somebody, you're running, you have some like you're Optimism, and there's sites targeting you like optimismairdrop.com. They message your user, they get them to go there, and they try to basically get them to sign a malicious transaction thinking they're receiving free internet money, right? What do you do about this? Right now, the best thing you could probably do is try and find who the hosting provider is, ask them to take it down. that will take like a day or two, maybe more, and sometimes weeks. And some hosting providers just don't care. They'll just be like, not our problem as well. Similar challenges with Twitter, to be honest. We've been trying to reach them a lot, but it's very difficult, especially with all the restructuring. They mostly also, like, I don't want to say they don't care. They do take some measures, but I mean, there's just so many issues on there right now. It's hard. It's hard for them to deal with everything. And some projects do say like, well, why is it a problem if somebody within our community loses money to a fake website? Like, that's not our money. That's they messed up, right? But it actually does hurt your project in many ways. For example, another project we worked with was a DeFi project. They had a lot of scam Google ads targeting them. A couple of $100,000 was lost by users within a couple of weeks. And that's money that just would have been inside of their protocol. And now that money is just not in your protocol. You're not getting revenue off of it. There's users in your chat complaining. It's user churn. We've talked to other projects and also wallets. And basically, once a user gets hit by a massive scam, that could be all the money they had. And that user is just gone. That's a user you've just lost, and they're never coming back. And it's brand damage. It looks bad if you go to Twitter and there's like 30 different impersonators, or you search on Google and the first 5 links are fake sites. And so we try to help with this. What we do is, one, we do automated scam detection. We're not the only ones, I also want to say, that do this. There's a lot of traditional Web 2 companies you can go to that handle this kind of thing. But we basically track down a lot of the scams. We do things like scanning, newly registered domains, certificate registrations. We find issues across. We also do scans across Twitter, Telegram, and then we also have community reporting. So your community members can report in. We have a bot that sits in your Discord and your scam report channel. It picks all that stuff up and goes into that security dashboard. These are just like a couple. I can, if I open up the app, I can just keep scrolling and scrolling through all the scams. It's kind of ridiculous, to be honest. But we are helping. So what do we actually do? One of the things we have been working on is a connection to quite a few wallets that we're working with. Right now we have a direct integration with Coinbase Wallet. We're also sending this data to MetaMask and to a bunch of other wallets as well. And basically, any report coming into our system, we put in a shared block list that then goes out to all of these wallets. And we're kind of trying to encourage more and more wallets to pick this up, to basically have a full coverage of the space. So that as soon as you're running a DeFi protocol, you notice like a scam targeting your users, you submit it through ChainPatrol. We verify quickly. We're very careful around not making sure we don't have any false positives, because like the worst thing would be just to block a legitimate project. That would really suck. We've had one in the last 5 months, and we removed it within like a minute out of our system. So I think we're doing okay. And so we work with Coinbase. We have a direct integration. We're also sending this data to MetaMask ETH Phishing Detect, and we're also spreading it to. There's a bunch of more wallets right now integrating our API as well that we're working with. And then we also have our own warning page that wallets can bring in to even more quickly integrate this protection into wallets. We also handle impersonating site takedowns. So now the difference between a takedown and this wallet blocking is blocking at the wallet because of the good relationships that have been formed and the high, the transparency around our reports. We can do with some wallets that integrate our API, we block within minutes. Some other wallets that we're working with more manually, it's within like usually a couple of hours, whereas site takedowns typically take like a day or two or more, like I mentioned. So really what we're trying to do is be so fast at blocking these scams that the people making malicious websites, it's too much work for them. For example, we worked with company CowSwap. They also had a lot of scam Google ads targeting them. we and they were like they were looking for solutions. They're like, it really sucks to them that their users are losing the funds as well. Um, and basically with them, after a couple of weeks of very actively we were taking down 5, 10, like almost every single day. Or not taking down, sorry, but like blocking, well, with the wallet level. And after a couple of weeks, they kind of stopped. They went away. It was just like it was too much of a headache for them to keep registering new domains, keep, scheduling new Google ads. It is a certain amount of work. We're trying to, it's like this like adversarial thing. We want to make it just more work for them to attack your community than it's kind of worth to like bother for them, and they just kind of move on somewhere else. And yeah, so we do these. We also do the site takedown at the end of the day as well, because I mean, we don't have 100% wallet coverage, and the site can still like kind of damage users if they're using one of the wallets we're not integrated with. We're trying to go really far, but we need to, we also handle the takedown as well. Oh yeah, one last thing I wanted to mention. Reason the wallets kind of have trust for our data is we have every single thing on our block list, like every single URL. We're also starting to add contract to wallet addresses, but that's a little trickier because it's so easy to make new ones. So we're focused on domains, to be honest, right now. But there's a full detailed report on every single thing on that block list, and it's publicly available. So you can see why it made it on there, what was the reason, and so on. And you can always, there's a public dispute page that we're very good at handling, in case there is a false positive, but like I mentioned, there's one. Yeah, that's it. I'd love to take any questions, any things you would want to know about your own, like, personal security, or if you're building a community, how you can help protect them as well. All right. Yeah, so you're saying if the wallet, if the reporting through us is the best way, if there's like other methods of taking down the scam? Yeah. I mean, you still want to report it to Google, because eventually they should take it down. But to be honest, the reason we work with these communities is because like Google doesn't act on it very quickly. To be honest, and it's an internal problem they have. Uh, we've seen they do have like a head of like Web3, and we've seen one or two people manage to message him and get some stuff removed quickly. But it's more of like if you manage to get enough hype about it on Twitter or something that it reaches somebody up top, they'll do it. Otherwise, like, to be honest, like most of these companies, like, I think it's something to do with their policy, like where it's really weird. It's the same thing on Twitter too. It's like unless it's like extreme, like it has to meet so many different criteria for them to act on it, that the scammers can literally change like one little thing and it's like fine. Actually, some interesting things that I've seen them do is, one, if you go to the site directly, they'll actually show you like some blog page or some benign page that looks fine. Only when you have the Google tracking ID in there, or you have the Twitter referral ID, will it actually show you the malicious content. So that makes it even harder to take down, because somebody then goes, looks at the regular site and are like, oh, this is a blog post, or this is somebody's store or website. But if you include but if you came from a particular source, then it shows you the scam page. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we're starting to work on some of that stuff, but to be honest, right now, a lot of our stuff is mostly like impersonation, like image comparisons and stuff like that. Yeah, but I'd love to talk. Yeah, because I mean, we're like, honestly, on our end, we're just trying to spread this data as far and wide as possible, and we're like super collaborative, like, so yeah, I'd love to chat. Yeah, awesome. I mean, if there's no other questions, I think we can wrap there. But thank you for coming.